when to trade Bitcoin binary options. The most important question of all. Now, Bitcoin binary options trades 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So, it trades all the time. So, what's the best time to make money? Now, it is important to know what the best time is, because at the end of the day, there are times that make the most money. Now, to understand who is the owner of Bitcoin, you have to understand what happens in Bitcoin. Now, 4.11% of addresses, Bitcoin address, the wallet address, owns 96.53% of Bitcoin. Just 4% of the addresses. Now, if we consider each address to be a different person, then only 4.11% of the people own 96%. One of the most important players in Bitcoin trading is China and South Korea. So if you hear news coming from them, do keep an eye on it, because they are the most important players. Now, South Korean are the number one biggest owner of Bitcoin in terms of retail investors, whereas Chinese own 16 Bitcoin farms, and one of the farm, Antpool, it is one of the largest Bitcoin mining farm, accounted for 20% of Bitcoin mining in 2016-17. So they are the miners. They invest electricity to get Bitcoin, and once they get it, they sell it to cover their expenses. So the selling pressure can come from them if they already own it. And the Chinese and South Korean are also one of the two biggest retail investors in Bitcoin. Now, if you remember, I discussed 4.11% own 96% of Bitcoin. Now, then there are the US Bitcoin millionaires who own huge quantities of Bitcoin. Example, Winklevoss brothers, who own more than $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Roger Ver, Charlie Shrem, Tim Draper, Dave Carlson, and FBI themselves. Now you might ask, how on earth FBI? Now they own like closed Silk Road Fund, and they got Bitcoin which were like owned by the Silk Road, and they did sold like Bitcoin, but it's not known if they sold them all or they kept it. So the question comes up, where are those Bitcoins? Because at the end of the day, once you look at 4.11% addresses own 96% of Bitcoin, then it tells that FBI owned Bitcoins were either not sold or sold to one of the biggest investor, and therefore few big investors can move the market as well. So you have to understand. Then comes the Japanese investors who purchased 42% of all Bitcoin in 2016. 42%. So it tells you that China, South Korea, Japan, this time zone is important in trading. And US, East Coast, is the second most important time zone. And then the West Coast of US is the third most important time zone. If we look according to ATMs, then we find that North America has 73% of all ATMs. 73%. And if you look at US population, it's like almost most of the population is on the East Coast. So East Coast time zone is important. It's the most important time zone. So again I'm repeating, it's China, South Korea, Japan, this time zone, and then US East Coast time zone. Now in ATM comes Europe with 21%. So Europe is important according to the ATM data. But the point is, understanding that these are the time zones when the price will be most volatile, when the price can move up and down. So this is how you will know which time zone can give you the most movement in the price, either up or down. US are like big owners, so they can drive prices up or down extremely fast. If they start to sell, then the price can drop fast. Now, Bitcoin futures are launched, and most of the traders are on East Coast, in New York and surrounding areas. So they can also drive the price higher and lower. So understand it, what's happening. Thank you.